All right, y'all. I just got done rebuilding this Gen 1 ball head. This Vortex, not rebuilding it, but cleaning it, you know. I paid a decent amount of money for it, and I really like how it works, and I wanted to make it run smooth again and all that, and get all the dust out of it. You know, you hunt with it, and it gets pretty dirty and this and that. So I looked for a video, didn't find one. Not that it's hard, but, you know, I guess if you're fresh into rebuilding stuff, this will be a good project for you to try. It's simple, nothing tough. Sometimes you get confused on the way things go back in, and this can help you. You got 3 screws on the top, right? And you have metal on metal there, so you want to make sure that's greased up. I don't know what they use for grease. I put marine grease in there just because it's water resistant for when you're in the weather, and it holds up pretty good against friction, and you know, it does collect a bit of dust, but you can always put it back in. So we're gonna go in, and every layer, every mechanic will tell you, set stuff up how you take it out, right? So for you, it's right to left. For me, it's left to right. I'm gonna go left to right, taking this thing apart. All right, so then we have 6 on top. 1, come on, 2, 3, 4. You know, it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but something to do. You know, I enjoy my optics and making sure the accessories that you have around them that are working correctly is you know, important to me. So if you took it apart, you can't figure out this is the way this one goes back in, right? Oops. Screws out. That might not be all the way out. There we go. No, still got one in. You know, pretty simple process. I'll probably fast forward a few seconds because I'm just unscrewing, wasting a little bit of time. Okay, so this comes out, and then this little piece comes out from the bottom. So we have indentation on the bottom, indentation on the top, and that's how they seat together. So we're gonna put those how they came out. This was on top, that was right under it. Got a spring that goes through the center. I wouldn't really call that part of the order because it's just down the center. But yeah, I'm just gonna clean all this out, make sure there's no dirt in it. You know, Lucas Oil, I already did this, I'm just doing it again. Lucas Oil makes a gun cleaner that I actually really like for cleaning parts because it doesn't strip everything out of them, but it takes most of it. And it's really good for removing dirt. And then I just remove all that and then re-grease it. So it still stays a little oily, but you can get all the dirt out and use that as a cleaner. I don't like using water on my parts, you know. So we're gonna clean that one out. And this is all metal on metal, so you know, if you let it go too long, the friction's gonna make it loose and rack, and racking causes noise when you're out there. So you know what, I'll be right back. Sunny dog. Okay, I think it's standard, but there's an Allen head right here, right, and that's what holds the plate to the ball head. And loosen that all the way up. I really hope this isn't a 10-minute video, but I'm halfway done and it's 5 minutes, so if it takes a while, I'm sorry. Take our ball head off. Allen sits right in there. Okay, to get this plate out, these plates, you're gonna have to unscrew this so that these plates can fall out. Okay, remember, one by one. And I try to stack them the way they go in. Take all that grease we just had out. Alright, so that would be down. One more piece, 2 more pieces of this ring. This ring sits against the ball head, okay, because these are both cupped. They both have radiuses, and sometimes that gets confusing. But this sits against the ball head, not the other disc. Okay, so we're just gonna clean it off. And I'm gonna do minimal cleaning off just because I just went through it, but I mean, if I have it open again, I might as well make sure it's clean. Check for obstructions. You might get some wear on the previous ring I took out. This one right here. This is where you're screwing those knobs in to tighten up or loosen that ball head. Oh, I just got grease on my shirt. And so you're gonna wanna make sure if there's any real hard stuff, I wouldn't say file it, but maybe sand it with some steel sandpaper, right? And we have our ball head. You do not want to over grease this. You want to just get it so that it's basically shiny, because this is where your dust is going to collect and give it down to the, put it down to the rest. So it gained a little bit of grease from me putting this back together, but it looks brand new. You can see it's shiny. That's about the look you want. You don't want to over grease that, especially on the top here, because this is, or up here, because this is where you're going to collect all your dirt. This is where it interacts with everything else and it's not sealed. Then we have our barrel. Okay, make sure there's no grease in there. Oh, just peeled a piece out of there that didn't need to come out. That's where it's at. Okay, so this last piece. This one's a little bit brittle, so be easy with this. And this one, there's actually a notch in there that it goes in, almost like a set screw. And you can see that's cupped as well to receive that ball. So you want to make sure that that radius goes down towards the ball. Feeds right in there. All right, so our barrel's clean. Minimal grease as you can. You know, I have silicone lube from JB, and that's dust resistant, but I just feel it doesn't give me the movement I like out of it. Shoot, we're at 8 minutes. Okay. Last thing we have, this function that goes in and out. This is where I do use that silicone lube because I don't want grease in here because it is so exposed to the environment. I blow that out, right? Clean this out. These pins are what go in and slide and guide. And then you have a couple springs in there. So I'll just show. Now we're on the portion where we're putting everything back together. So spring goes into the hole, spring into the hole, right? Plate goes down, make sure the dovetail is up, just like that. You have this bushing, you have your screw, make sure all that's clean. I'm not gonna redo that just because I don't wanna go outside to spray it. Okay, and we'll put it back together. Like I said, shiny is plenty. So I put it on there, wipe it off. Just make sure it's not metal on metal. That's what we're trying to get away from. But we're trying to keep it as dry as possible with that so that we're not collecting too much grease. Okay, we're gonna go back to the head. There's a keyway in there. Right back onto the, oh, come on. What does Remy Morton say? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Putting this back on here. Tightening that into the keyway. Make that nice and snug. You don't want that messing around. All right, and just how it went back in. So I do not over grease this part. right? This ring, just nice and wet. Make sure it's gonna receive that. This I do a bit of grease in. I just used just a bit. Put that back in there. This is a sealed metal on metal fitting, so I like to grease this up a lot. Or not a lot, I wouldn't say, but enough. So let's grease all this back up. This is fitting back into this way, right? So we have that grease for that metal on metal fitting. That's where that's going. Move it around a bit, get some of that excess grease out of it. And then this part will be riding on this metal on metal and shifting around this outer ring. So let's see, this ring right here will be going metal on metal as well. So that can take a bit of grease. I'm doing this on the kitchen table. My wife's gonna be back soon, so I better hurry up. Okay, so before you do any of that, you want to get that down in there and seat it with this. Okay, and I'm doing this quick, so I'm not taking any extra precaution to get the grease off my hands, which I'll pay for later. But you don't want grease on your knobs, right? Just kind of collecting extra dirt that you don't need, and I just greased my knobs, so don't do that. Up, this way goes up, so our bigger fitting will be facing up, right? Bigger fitting up, that's right. Right? Oh, this one in first. Hold on, y'all. I had it right. This one down. There we go. See, I've done this 20 times and I still get this mixed up a little bit. This is also metal on metal, flange up. Okay, clean it off. And so I just seat it. This will hold on to the next other fitting through just vacuum pressure from the grease you put in. So I do top and the bottom. I wouldn't say snug them up, just get them so they're holding flat, and then star pattern. I don't go to a torque spec. You could, I guess. I don't know what the torque spec would be on this. 15, 20, 2000. So I just tighten them all in there. And I just try to keep this flat. I mean, the reference that it's going to is screwed directly to this anyway, so this joining isn't too important. But that's just how I like to do things. So we are now 15 minutes, that's too long. 14? Dang. And then the last one, tighten up and reverse and star pattern it. It looks like I'm really wrenching on it, but I'm not. I'm just getting it nice and snug so that it won't rattle around and loosen up. And then we have our piece going back on there. This one, make sure it's nice and greased. I already did that. The outer ring, I keep the dust out of. So I clean the outside of this, get all that grease out of there so that we're not introducing any grease. All right. Index it. Oh, I forgot something, didn't I? Spring. Just push my guy down. Pull it back up. Bring back up to you. And we are back together. And we are back in. Oop. It's so smooth, it just wants to move. And there we go. So we're in there. No noise, right? Limited noise on this one. It's gonna have that metal on metal sound, but we are now functional. 16 minutes too long. I'm sorry, guys. All right, I'll end it there. But that's how you put it back together.